contend that amidst all the desirable by living beings, there cannot be anything more desirable and advantageous than a wisdom and intelligence and memory, right opinion and true reason. And Philebus claims that enjoyment and pleasure and delight are the ones that we tend to seek for, and I accept his position, since he's right. We shall then try to indicate the state of the soul, which is the property of making all men happy. I said that is wisdom, and you say this is pleasure. Is such a state? Indeed. So, what if there is a third state, that is to be found being better than the others two? Would it mean that neither of us were correct in our assumptions? Yeah, let's begin with the definition of the nature of pleasure. It would not be wrong to assume that all the pleasures are actually alike, even the most opposite ones. No, Socrates, it would be the same wrong if I assume all sciences being severally alike. Let us then assume that there is a great diversity in the field of science as well as among pleasures. So, as we suffer the unity of pleasure and wisdom, we may want to find the classes of those unities to proceed in our argument. Yeah, that's a fair point, Socrates, but I can barely imagine this dialogue to obtain any answers in our search. In order to evaluate each of our points, we will have to proceed with nothing but a fair deal considering such abstract entities as pleasure and wisdom. Do you think it is possible to reason about the former two without bringing the basic set of rules in? It's only now that I am starting to get your point. Instead of thinking about such abstract and unifying terms, we are to find some real applications from our niche of the given groups.
Let us then divide all existing things into 4 classes. Upon what principle would you make the division? Let us assume these 2 unities are infinity and finite classes. We also have the third, which is compounded out of them, and the 4th class, that is the cause of this compound. But Socrates, I'm afraid I can't directly get your point. Can you explain these 4 classes more precisely? First class, infinite, have no definite quantity because it has no beginning and no end. The second class is finite. Whatever has definite quantity and is measurable is then harmonious and proportionate, because the finite is the class of the measurable and is therefore able to introduce number or order into infinite. And the 4th class is the reason and correct way of applying the 3rd class. Oh, now it becomes much clearer. Now, to be exact, which classes do our 2 subjects, pleasure and wisdom, belongs to? Well, let's just mention them. The pleasure is infinite class. That has no, nor ever will have a beginning, an end, or a middle in itself. It cannot be measured exactly. Wisdom, knowledge, mind, however, is which orders the universe and all elements of the universe and provides human begins with the souls and minds, must belong to the 4th class, the cause of the union of the finite and infinite in a state of harmony.
Yes, indeed, we can divide pleasure and wisdom into categories and we proceed, but let's guess that pleasure nor wisdom separately not enough for satisfying human needs. Easy to observe 2 cases of life without one of them. Can you imagine that way you would choose for others? And is it worth living?
I prefer life without any wisdom. Why we should need something other than pleasure?
But if you had neither mind, nor memory, nor knowledge, nor true opinion, you would be in the first place virtuously ignorant of the terror you were, reason or not, because you wouldn't be entirely devoid of intelligence, and your life would be the life not a man, but an ulcer.
Oh, you're totally right. Life without wisdom is disgusting, but what would that life of wisdom and without pleasure be?
Well, what will the life without any abilities to enjoy, or any feelings of that kind, is this better option for you?
This is tactile. This discussion gave me a thought what with the full value life we should mix both pleasure and wisdom, and so that wisdom alone doesn't have any chance.
Indeed, but if you think that pleasure rests, I think the mind in this case of the mixed life, and in this case, albeit neither of them will be the good. One of them might be the main cause of good.
Let us next assume that in the soul itself there is an antecedent hope of pleasure, which is sweet and refreshing, and an expectation of pain, fearful and anxious.
Indeed. Pain is a disintegration of harmony in the body, and pleasure is its restoration. But there is still a state of rest between pleasure and pain, in which lives the life of wisdom, the most divine of all lives. Precisely. In that case, let's divide the pleasure into true and false, to be precise. Then what pleasure, Socrates, should we be right in considering to be true? True pleasures are those which are given by beauty of color and form, and most of those which arise from smells. But how, Socrates, can there be false pleasures? How do you define getting pleasure from lies, self-deception, corruption, gluttony? That, Socrates, is a very true description of the opinions of the majority about pleasures. Yes, Protagoras, quite true of the mixed pleasures, which arise out of the communication of external and internal sensations in the body. When, for example, you scratch on the back that is very itchy. And the mixed pleasure is not true, because it is mixed with pain, and only pleasure without pain may be pure and true. Exactly or not exactly? And why in this case, if pleasure is the best of the best, people appreciate courage, understanding, keenness, trust, and virtue, because most often they bring more pain than pleasure.
What about the pleasure of doing science? They lack the desire of knowledge, and this desire does not come from unpleasant. But do you feel any dissatisfaction about losing your knowledge because of the oblivion?
This unpleasant is not natural. It comes from awareness of losing something and desire for it again.
So we should say that the pleasure of doing science has nothing to do with the unpleasant, but is not available for everyone. And among them, the purest and most precise, I think, is dialectics.
I couldn't agree with you more.
After all, goodness cannot be represented by one idea. It is composed of three: beauty, quantity, and truth. Mixing them together, we will come up with something that indeed can be called the goodness.
Can we now say what is closer to good and what is more distant from it?
I think the measure and quantity come in the first place, and everything that is related to them and to infinity.
That's obvious.
The second place takes the beauty, perfection, and everything alike. On the third place, I would put the mind, cognition, and I assume you won't be so far from the truth with that, will you?
Maybe.
You won't be mistaken if you choose arts, science, knowledge, and right opinions for the fourth place. And finally, on the fifth place, come these purest pleasures, not mixed with sadness, the feelings of the soul.
I guess.
And here, in my opinion, we should conclude our discussion.